Hi, I'm Tyler Zeman. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to discuss the two videos that we watched for our class this week. The first one is the Hans Rosling, the magic washing machine, and the second one is from Cheryl Wudun. It's called Our Century's Greatest Injustice. And as I watched these two videos, it was very eye-opening to think of the different circumstances and situations that people are in, just like the other videos that we have watched thus far in this course. The first one with the the magic washing machine, that is, we learned that there are 5 billion people who live without a washing machine, and there's 2 billion who live below the poverty line and making $2 a day. And he kind of talked about the story of his mom when she first received, when she got her first washing machine, and the big impact that it had in their lives. That when they first got it, their grandma came over and everybody began to watch as the magic washing machine would take care of all the workload that they had normally taken care of. And he said that not only did it help his mother have more opportunities to get more done, but then they were actually able to go to the library and read books and become further educated and progress in their life. It wasn't just something that made life easier, but it made life better because they could improve themselves. There's still many people in parts of the world who are using firewood to heat their water, and they don't have the electricity, they don't have washing machines, they don't have these new technologies that make life easier and make it so we actually have the time to further our education. He said that most women in the world are still washing the clothes by hand, and that's a task that takes almost the whole entire day for them to do so. And they're scrubbing it with their hands on rock, in the river, many different types of ways. And there are people who say that not everybody can have a dishwasher, not everybody can have a car, not everybody can have technology. And he kind of stressed the point, why can we be telling these people who are going through this situation that they can't have technology, that they can't have these things that will make their life better. So it was very interesting to think of how much these simple things that we think are simple have really changed our lives, and how much they would be able to change the lives of other people. And then as I go on to the Cheryl Wudun speech on Our Century's Greatest Injustice, she begins to talk about a little girl who was attending school. Her family didn't have running water, they were very poor, and they told this girl that they were going to have to pull her out of school because the $13 tuition fee was too much for them to handle. So for $13 they had to pull this girl out of school. And however, this girl, she would continue going, and she would learn as much as she could throughout, like outside the building, without receiving the formal aspect of that education. And Time Magazine actually did a paper or an article on her, and they began to receive several donations. They were able to help this girl finish her schooling and help other girls finish their schooling as well. And this girl continued on, and she became very well educated. She was actually able to get out of the vicious cycle and into the virtuous cycle, as Cheryl stated in this discourse. And she stated that she was able to help her family get out of the rough situation. They were actually able to get running water and electricity. She was able to help herself, and she was able to help her community. They were able to build a road that connected them to mainland China. And that was just a big thing. She stated that women need to stop being looked at as part of a problem and part of the solution. Oftentimes, there are situations when the women are thought of as being a problem, but they really are a great part. When they talked about technology advancing in certain countries and saying that they wouldn't be able to advance if they were only using 50% of their resources, and that 50% that they were using is just males. So if they use the other 50%, the women, they'll be able to succeed and grow at a much quicker rate. She also stated that women are being discriminated to death, and that there's a lot of women who are missing this world who should be here. That many times the women are abused till death, or they're aborted before they're even born, just because they were going to be a female. And that girls ages 1 to 5 die at a 50% higher rate than boys of their same age, just because of the neglect. And it showed a picture of a girl who was lived in a family with 2 older brothers who were perfectly fine, in perfectly good health. However, this girl was very ill. She was very skinny, and she was not being treated properly, and it was just for the fact that she was a girl. Another thing that I found very surprising and very disturbing was the fact of slave trade. That the blacks, there was 80,000 about who were traded, and currently there are 800,000 sex slaves that are being trafficked throughout the world at this time. And not only are they being that much more being trafficked, but their value or the price that they're being sold for is a lot cheaper. And it's very upsetting to me that the world has come to that point where we kind of turn our eyes away from that, from that aspect. That there's this going on and we're not doing as much as we could to stop it. And the last story that I would really like to touch on that Cheryl shared deals with the African girl who really wanted to have a good proper education, but her family was poor and they didn't have the money to send her to school. However, there was an organization that ended up donating a goat to this family, and that goat got pregnant, had twins, and was able to produce milk, and they began to sell that milk and got to the point where they had enough money that they could send this girl to school. And this girl went to school at the age of 9. She was barely entering in first grade. She'd never received any type of formal education prior to that point. However, she quickly excelled at the top of her class and was able to maintain that standard throughout all of her studies. And when she graduated high school, she was actually scored the very high score on one of the final tests, the national test, and she was the first girl from her village to actually be able to go to the United States and study in a well-known college. And she actually graduated recently, and she stated that she was the luckiest girl in the world because of a goat. That goat cost $120, but it changed this girl's life forever, and she's going to go back and she's going to be able to help her family and help so many others just from a simple donation. And I liked the point that Cheryl made, that once we have our general necessities taken care of, it doesn't matter how much more things we have, it won't necessarily improve or make us feel happier. But the things that will make us feel happier is donating and helping out to a cause that is greater than ourselves. And I have noticed that in my life, that as I've been able to help or be a part of something that's bigger than me, has actually made me feel greater worth and have greater happiness. And I think that that's something that the Lord had planned, and that's what He teaches us in the scriptures, that when we have charity, we feel the true love of Christ. And that is definitely part of the celestial perspective that Cheryl taught, that as we help others and we are part of something greater, we'll have a greater joy in our lives. And part of the geographical perspective, that some people grow up in different circumstances where they don't have food, they don't have water, and their possibilities to succeed seem to be dim. But there are definitely those possibilities that when we can help out to them with the resources that we have from winning the life lottery, she says, can definitely help out that person in that other country. And so that's just the quick little video of what my response would be to these two different videos. And I hope that we can all kind of think what we can do to make a difference in the lives of these people.